Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Passion for Tone. My name is Joe Wyatt. Guys, today we are here with no other than Steve Fryette. Sir, thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming. I'm looking forward to showing you around.
I can't thank you enough. A big fan of the Deliverance 120, the power station, the synergy modules, the whole thing. So
Cool.
yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So
All right.
what have we got, Steve?
Well, you picked a great day to come in because it's chaos everywhere. So this is a project that we're trying to get finished. This is a rubbing of Hendrix's his grave site in Seattle, in Renton. One of our fans made one for himself, and he made one for us and sent it to us. And he had it all framed and everything, and it arrived here broken. And so this was just before we moved. When we moved here, we moved the people next door to us, our new neighbors, do framing.
Okay.
So we gave it to them, and they put a nice bar on it and gave it back to us. So now it's going to occupy this space.
That's a wonderful addition to the room for
So
sure.
we have that. We have our master of ceremonies, Erico, here, who basically runs everything. And she's a little camera shy, but she manages all the operations. She does product ordering, order processing, fulfillment, and graphic design.
Oh, wow.
She's an expert graphic artist, and she's responsible for the script logo on the Aether amp.
Okay.
And she's responsible for the front panel design of the 252 power amp.
Okay.
She's involved in all the products, the power station, the Cyclops, the ZMAX. She's involved in all of that. They're being partly designed by a former Japanese metal drummer.
Really?
Who knows her shit. And she'll deny it, but it's the truth. We have a recently finished demo room in here where we can actually hear and isolate ourselves away from the rest of the world and get a really refined sense of what we're listening to and why we're listening to it and what we can do better, or what we couldn't hear in the previous facility where we might go, I never noticed that before. Right. But most of the time, I mean, we have a pretty extensive QC process where we vet out designs and make sure that they're really, we're very OCD about that kind of thing. But still, having an isolated place where we can really get granular about it is a wonderful thing. And finally, a place where we have a variety of instruments that we can have accessible right there. You could just grab, I think I need to hear it with this or that. And they're right there. And so we've got, anytime somebody wants to come in and play something, we've got something, at least they're going to be in their ballpark and they're familiar with
something
with checking out. Yeah,
for sure.
So that's what we got going on in here. And right now we have the Sound City rigs are all on one ZMAX. This is the amp and cab switcher, and the Fryette stuff is all on the other switcher.
Okay.
And each switcher has its own power station. And so that's all set up with MIDI so that we can A/B compare or blend or mix any combination of any of these stacks. We also can incorporate the GPDI, which there isn't one in here at the moment, but the GPDI is integrated into one of the other power stations. When we get it completely set up, we'll have two GPDIs, one on each power station. So then you'll be able to compare or switch or blend a GPDI to anything in here, or else anything that a customer wants to bring in and listen to and compare.
Fantastic.
I grew up on high watt amps, so this is why we have vintage high watt head in here, because these are my,
and they are really good shape too.
Yeah, the top one is a 75 and the bottom one is a 72, and so these are kind of my soul anchors.
Yeah,
and my connection to David Reeves, who is who lives large in my imagination.
So would you say that's one of your biggest influences for sure? Or
I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say so. He was something of a malcontent himself, and I didn't get that from him. I was always like that, but I found him to be a kindred spirit in that regard. He was one of these people that you would go to the NAMM show and present your wares, and some guy would come up, it'd be really great if you did your amp, if you did this and this and did this, and he would listen patiently.
Right.
Very good. And so what do you think? And he would go, then it wouldn't be a high wall, would it? And then turn around and walk away.
That's great.
So
I love it. I mean, he's like, you should start your own amp company. Great idea.
Yeah. He was a little bit more direct about it.
Right.
Probably would have been.
Yeah.
But so we're fairly well represented here on the things that drive what our amplifiers sound like, and the results of that research and experimentation and execution.
It's always impressed me about the 122 plus, where I see that how many tonal variations you can get by the combination of those two knobs, and it being basically what, a one-channel amp. I want clarity on that, because I'm getting different stories. It is truly a one-channel amp.
It's a one-channel amp with a couple of controls that get added in, and a gain stage that gets added in.
Yeah, it's just you feel the power of that amp.
I mentioned that we have a person here who's intimately involved in the design, execution of some of these things. She's also comes up with pretty good ideas about how to express things that I may not do quite the same way. And one of the things that we discussed at length was the idea that when somebody asks for something, a feature or a function or whatever it is, it would always be triggered by releasing a new product. Great. Now, if it just had this my idea of the perfect thing to add to anything, no matter what anybody makes, just do this, or do what some other company did like this. And we would go to great pains to try to explain, well, we already provided that. You just need to get conversant with it, and then you'll work your way through it at some point, hopefully, eventually, and get to that point where you'll realize that's already in there. It may not have a particularly specified labeled switch or knob to get you there, but you'll get there eventually. And my feeling is that once you get that conversant with some of our more complex amps, the amount of the extra features that are there, you will gradually stop using. You'll use it the way that you want to use it. And that means that all the extra options will no longer be important to you. Only the key things that make it good for you will be the things that you use. So it doesn't matter how many knobs and switches we put on something. You're going to find your way through this, and you're going to find your amp out of it.
As a guitarist, I would always gravitate toward this solution, because I can dial it in, we'll find it, I'm not going to think about it.
Because guitar players really are people that have personalities and express their personality, and they're looking for the thing to best express that. They're not, I want to try this tone, I want to try that sound, I want to try this riff. You might go through all those, that file card full of little things that pop up in your head that you'd like to try, but at the end of the day, you're not that person. And so you've ultimately find your way to playing the amp that defines you. That was kind of the idea behind the Sig X amplifier, was that everybody at the time that amp was released, all the companies were signature amps, this artist, that artist. And so one day I was having lunch with our sales manager, and he said, there's a guy that we're working with that he'd kind of like to have a signature amp. And I said, most of these guys, when they sign the recording contract, they probably sign it with an X. Because that's about their level of spelling. I was in a really mood that day. And I said, so to me, the ideal signature amp would be just have a big X on the front of it. And the guy just lost it. And he goes, I love that. So we went back and had a meeting the next day with all the people. And I just kind of flippantly threw that out there. And they were like, yeah. So Erica drafted it out, and she made about 50 different versions of it, and we all went that one. And, you know, it was like, well, what do you want it to look like? I wanted it to look like a really bad signature on a record contract written by an illiterate, you know, person. And that became that. And so when people ask us how we feel about signature amps, we say we have the perfect signature amp for you here.
You can start using some chalkboard paint, and you just sign your name here when you get the amp.
Well, I initially went on a whiteboard, and I just did this and this. That became a refined version.
Right? No, it's great. Yeah.
So
That's a great story.
So anyway, I said that to get back to the Deliverance, which was a similar kind of conversation where Erico asked me if you were going to take the essential voicing out of an existing model and say that that is the voice of the company, which one would it be and which setting would it be? At the time we were building Ultraleads and the Pipple Classic. And I said, well, it would probably be something like this. And I took a Pipple Classic and set it up for medium gains, the amp that had EL34s in it.
Right.
And I just started playing songs that I liked. I played, you know, a Sex Pistol song. I played Mississippi Queen. I just grabbed a bunch of different things out of my mental repertoire and started playing them all through this particular setting of the amp without changing anything, just changing my pick attack, you know, and she said, okay, so how can you put all that in one amp? And I said, it's really easy. We just don't put in all the other stuff that people ask for that they won't really use all the time.
Right.
So that became the Deliverance. That was basically the stripped down essence of the voicing that if you're listening to records, you ought to be able to, if you can't hear what amplifier it is, you can hear that it's distinctly different than what other people are recording with other amplifiers. You ought to be able to pinpoint this at some point.
Right.
And so that was the goal. So when the Deliverance first came out, that's what it was. And then over a course of a couple of iterations of it, all we did was what we usually do, respond to questions about, now could you just add a second channel, a second master, an effects loop?
Sure.
We purposely didn't put an effects loop in it.
Okay.
And in fact, we so vehemently did not put an effects loop in it that we even put a t-shirt out that's
a no loop, or
basically that this was meant to be plugged in and played. And the t-shirt just basically said, play or die. And on the back, it said, what are you scared?
Right. Can't hide behind it.
And we made those t-shirts in, you know, black, no, hot pink and banana yellow. And the pink one had yellow printing, and the yellow one had pink printing. And all the metal guys came to the booth at NAMM and took the yellow and pink ones. Couldn't get enough of them. They were gone in the first half hour of that area. And the black ones, they weren't interested.
Right. That's hilarious.
So that was basically a throwdown. So the amp was kind of a throwdown. And that's kind of the way the amplifier side of things developed. The tool and solution side is an entirely different thing. That's where the idea is to enable people to put all these things together in a way that actually makes sense, makes them work, allows them to utilize all the different features, try different things, compare and combine, and get to a place where you can use these stuff in a really practical way, use these things in a practical way, and establish a workflow out of that, which is what everybody's trying to do.
Sure.
It's workflow. I need to fire it up. I need to get my work done, and I need to move on. And the modeler solution, I thought that was going to be it. And of course, sure, I use a modeler, and some of my friends use modelers. But at the end of the day, can I have workflow and great sound and a satisfying physical playing experience? It's these days, it's less for us about the sound
It's
because
wonderful.
we feel like we've established that. It's more about the feel and the inclination to move forward without feeling like
Right.
there's a roadblock.
No, I agree with that 100%. That's one thing I always tell people, the modelers things that can sound great, sound fantastic, but they're not always inspiring. I don't get that interaction, and that's what you're missing because an amplifier becomes part of you, part of the instrument. It's part of the whole. And that's what's magic about it, So,
And the operating principle here is, does it have a reason to exist?
right.
Every new product that we design has to pass that first test. Does it have a reason? What is it for? Who is it for? What is it for? And the whole design process is aimed at answering that question and solving that problem.
Finding solution.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's great. And the PLIR, I have that unit. It's fantastic. I love the options where you can go direct in, but have the analog options.
So we had the power station, the PS1 at the time when that first came out. And as soon as that came out, I thought, this is going to be really great. We could actually go springboard off of that and go a bunch of different directions. So the first thing I did was I took the load out of the power station and built a little cab sim in it and put it all in this little box and plugged it into an amp. And I went, yeah, this will work. It took me 2 days to do it from scratch parts on a workbench. And then the following week, we did the Nashville NAMM show, which we hadn't done in years, but we decided to go do that. And I didn't tell anybody about it. Not our crew, nobody knew about it. So when we got down there, we got the booth all set up, and they said, oh, looks like we got everything all set. I said, there's just one more thing we need. And I pulled this out of my briefcase and put it on top. And they were like, what's that? This is our next new product. When did you start working on that? Last Friday. And everybody was like shocked because we've always had this sort of long timeline in getting from a concept to a product. Mostly because we're a small crew, multiple hats. There's always lots of interruptions and things. So it takes a long time to get from a concept to a finished product. And especially with a person like me hanging around that is going to go, actually, we're kind of on an interesting track, but I just figured out another more interesting track to be on. And everybody's like, no,
Let's finish this first. Yeah.
And well, I am finishing it. I'm finishing it and I'm refining it. And I'm doing like the next 3 years of revisions on it.
I'm in week 3 and 4 right now.
So yeah, it's taken me a long time to learn that lesson, is to complete the thought before you start the new sentence. However, it just seemed to be really timely, and we put it out, and everybody that came to the booth went, that would be the next logical product to come out with after the power station. So when will it be ready? I'll take 6, And so that was a fun experiment, and I did learn something out of that. So that's
speaking of the PLIR, I want you to learn from my mistakes, okay? I plugged a 9-volt power decker into it and had to send it in for repair. It's 12-volt, not 9-volt, so on the power supply.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does need that little extra juice.
So that was my fault. So I don't know that's what caused it, but I figured that's the only thing it could have been because it went down right after that.
Were you in a dark room? I was just curious. Because it does say 12 volts. Do you see it?
It does. I was reaching behind it, not looking, feeling for the hole, So to say,
I'm just teasing.
I know. So, yeah. Well, fantastic. So, from here, are you building your head shells, cabinets? Are you doing all that here? Or are you getting those off site? Or how does that?
The cabinets are made off site.
Okay.
Right in the LA County, LA City.
So Southern California.
It's crazy setting up wood production facilities inside the city limit. And the workman's comp is insanely expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And all of that. So that's all done. It's in the area, but it's outside of the LA County line.
So are there any new or developing technologies that are out there right now that you're looking forward to try to incorporate into your amp designs?
Well, we actually do have a product in development that involves some technology that other people are using, that we've used to a limited extent. and we're going to get more into, but we do have something in development that's going to surprise some people in about 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I can't talk about that, but a lot of, gosh, there's 2 or 3 ribbons of product development going on now
Okay.
because I've actually got a full-blown engineering staff now. I used to just do everything myself, and anything that I couldn't do myself, like writing code, for example, I would sub out to somebody. But now we have a couple of people that work offsite on a contract basis that design stuff specifically for us. And that a lot of that is software development. Some of that is circuit board layout and design, where I just say it's gonna be like this, and then everybody goes and they do that stuff while I go get another snowball rolling. And then I approve everything and clear everything, and then we build it all here, test it all here, vet it all out, and then we have not only our friends in the business where we send stuff,
Sure.
Michael Nielsen,
Right.
Tim Pierce, all
Right.
Henning Pauly, to not only review the stuff but give us feedback.
Sure.
I mean, don't be afraid to tell me what you don't like, kind of thing. We put it out. We put out beta units from time to time for people just hey, go try to break this, go pour beer on it. I don't care what you do, just to let me know what works and what doesn't work for you.
Right.
And then we do a refinement step, and then we're off to the races. So that takes our product development and time to market down from what used to be anywhere from 2 to 5 years to now 6 weeks to 2 years.
Okay. Wow.
And there are some times where we can do something in 2 weeks. I've had, like, very recently, the Valvulator 1 guys are gonna love this. Like, this I can talk about.
Okay.
We made a product called the Valvulator 1, probably in 1998, 1999. It was a tube buffer that had a little power supply in it you could put on a pedal board. It would power your pedals, and it had a tube buffered input stage, unity gain. You plug into that, plug into your pedal board, and it would restore the signal, get rid of the high frequency loss through cables and all that, and put basically a vacuum tube stage in front of all of your rig.
Wow.
So you could feel the dynamics while you were playing and get rid of the high frequency loss of cables. Well, some people like cables to roll off the sound, and so people would figure out, well, you need to put a fuzz face in front of it, not after, those kinds of things. But still, it was a very popular accessory, and we stopped making it, I want to say, 10 years ago. But people buy them up whenever they come up for sale on Reverb or eBay or wherever. People buy them up and send them here to get refurbed, and then they keep them and they collect them in case they break or need to get serviced or whatever. So there's a hardcore audience out there that for whom that piece of equipment is essential.
Right.
And the interesting thing about it is most people trying it out will go, it doesn't make that much difference to the sound, but I kind of like it.
Right.
And then 6 months later, a year later, somebody trips over their circuit board, their pedal board, or dumps a drink in the top of it because it had a little vent, tube. And they go, oh, well, I'll just send it to the factory.
Right.
And they plug in around it and they go,
yeah, I got right.
And I mean, I had a guy come to the NAMM show and he was white as a ghost. My Valvulator broke. My life is coming to an end. And I'm not exaggerating. Some people, when they didn't think that mattered that much to them until it's gone, and then they literally had withdrawals.
Right.
And we just thought, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because we don't really hear that much about it. When you have a good product and it goes out in the marketplace and it's really good, it's like it disappears into another dimension. We don't really hear about it until something happens.
Sure.
And then
it's
that's kind of always been my experience, that when, okay, we must have made something really good because they've gone into another time zone or through a wormhole.
Right.
And that was one of those things. We'd have forgotten even how many we made, and we made thousands.
Really?
But now there's this sort of regular annual stream of those that come in to get rebuilt and so on and so forth. And it's kind of big and heavy.
Yeah.
But technology has come a long way since then, and power supply technology in particular. So I designed a brand new Valvulator one called the Valvulator Mini.
Oh, nice.
That is a small little box. I'll show it to you later.
Sure.
It's a small little box. It has the same tube circuit in it that the original one did.
Okay.
But it has a little switch mode power supply inside that converts 12 volts to 250 volts with no big iron transformers in it and all that. So it's really small, really light. It'll fit on a pedal board. You can run it from a pedal board power supply, and everybody has pedal board power supplies now. Right. So the Valvulator doesn't need to do that job anymore.
Right.
And it'll fit under a pedal board, and it's super, super quiet because the power supply configuration now doesn't generate, the EMI, electromagnetic interference noise from the transformer bleeding into audio circuitry, because when you're trying to make something small and you got to put a power transformer in it, that's bad, right? So it just got a whole lot better and much, much smaller, and we're going to probably release it in about a month.
Oh,
they're building the beta versions now to send out to people.
Fantastic.
To see what kind of reaction we get to that. But it got a few refinements. It got smaller. It got lighter. It got less expensive. It got
all positives.
It got a lower signal to noise ratio. It got more headroom. The original one, same basic circuit, but it didn't have enough power supply juice to have a lot of headroom. So if you hit it with EMG pickups within the boost mode, you could push it into clipping.
Right.
This one solves that problem. It's got a better power supply, so you can't clip it anymore.
Fantastic.
So it's got better headroom, and it also has what we call drag switches on it now, where you can introduce some cable capacitance, and
roll the high end off or bring it back in,
and play with the pickup impedance, put some serious resistance in the pickup signal so that it will behave more like you're used to. So if you're using humbuckers or single coil pickups, you can tweak the behavior of them so it'll bring it sort of back into your neighborhood of the way you like it to sound or feel. Just a couple of little simple things, but again, this is all about the problem solving part where, hey, this is really great. It worked for me really great. Now, if you just, so we try to answer that question before they do, but it's a challenge.
Yeah.
So, but that's an exciting thing, because I can hardly wait to have that come out, because that went together literally. I had circuit boards and rough chassis 2 weeks after I scratched the design out on paper. So that was a record.
Wow. Fantastic. One last question here. How would, looking back at your career at this point now, looking back, would you think your greatest achievement has been to the industry as a whole, to guitar players? What would you think you're the most proud of?
Well, I don't know if I think that we really changed the face of the industry. I don't think that I've done that.
Right.
I do think that I've interjected a narrative about what's the real thing to focus on.
Okay.
So I'm considered, a bit of a cantankerous person, in your face person, which when somebody asks the right question or draws the right line, I'll rise to that occasion.
Sure.
And I will say what I think, and I'll demonstrate what I think by designing a product that's an example of my take on that quest. And so I try to break convention as much as possible, and I try to set up, I don't know if I want to call it an argument, but I will structure a debate around a product design to prove a point about what people believe that is causing the sound that they like.
Right.
Like, for example, I'll lock horns any day of the week with people that want to put speakers in an X pattern in a cabinet. Whenever it becomes a conversation that has these catchphrases that people latch onto, that they don't know what they really mean, but they just use those phrases.
Right.
That's when my switch goes on. That's what gets me excited.
Especially when they go to an online forum and instead of you to get the answers, which is
right. So I'm the first person to say, why do you believe that? Why do you think that that's true? Did you ever happen to notice most of the evidence that you stumbled across that you're ignoring right now that is trying to disabuse you of that notion? And the answer is usually that that's an inconvenient fact that I try not to deal with. That movie, I don't know if you've ever seen this movie. It's an old movie. It's about the Scopes monkey trials, Inherit the Wind.
Yeah, in Dayton, Tennessee, it's 20 miles from home.
Right.
So, yeah.
The scene in the courtroom where the prosecutor is trying to get the guy to talk about when creation starts, you know, and how long do you think a day is? And the guy on the stand gets all flustered and he goes, I don't think about things that I don't think about. And the attorney said, do you ever think about things that you do think about? Right in his face, and the whole courtroom goes silent, right? And to me, I love that scene because it illustrates the idea that, you know, there's a bigger conversation to be had here, and I'm going to be the first one to just dive in and try to tear it open. And I'm going to try to break conventional wisdom about certain things. So that I can, basically, that's what I had to do to get to the product development. I had to reject concepts that people, we call it the canon around here. I had to tear up the canon. I had to break the canon so that we could get to the objective. And that's what drives all of our product development. So I think if there's anything that we're contributing, we are kind of the black sheep in the marketplace for a reason. And we have maybe a smaller subset of hardcore players, fans that are more committed to doing things a different way than other manufacturers, because we don't encourage that follower mentality. We encourage the leader, push junk out of the way mentality. And I can be pretty fierce about it sometimes, but I'm not doing it to just throw down all the time. I'm doing it because these are the challenges that get into my process of getting a thing done. And since I have to solve that problem, I have to understand the parameters of that problem. I have to break it down, and then I have to find a solution. And then I'm past that. I want to share that with people. Unfortunately, when you're kind of taking people's conventions and tearing them up and throwing them over your shoulder in front of them, they get defensive. And yeah, that's life.
You know, being told no is not always bad, you know, so.
I get told no, I'm not going to buy it. I can hear myself too well. Sorry. Well, you know, probably one of our biggest complaints that we got in the past from people was your amps are not forgiving.
Well,
the players that really know our gear don't know what even that means. But the people that don't know our stuff go, yeah, absolutely. What they don't want to admit is that the problem with your gear is I can hear myself and I don't like that. And so I don't like you. And well, I love you and I want you to sound better and be a better musician and understand what you're doing.
I say that all the time in my videos, like, this is a real amp. It's not a model twist, an idealized version of the amp. You know, you may not be as good as you think you are. You know, unplug everything, plug in this real amp, and the truth will be told. You know, and that's good for you as a player to play like that, because those little things that are, you know, the compression, the noise gates, everything that are built into modern, you know, technologies are not there. So it refines your playing. Your dynamics become better, you know.
And I know that experience. I live that experience. Hiwatt introduced me to that experience because my first Hiwatt was a little 50 watt, like that one. And I immediately got pretty comfortable with it, except it wasn't loud enough in the band that I was in. So I got the 100. And I got spanked royally in making that transition. I can hear myself. I already know I'm a sloppy player. I already know that I'm too lazy to practice and too busy partying, gigging, and doing whatever else I'm doing to actually improve my playing. Actually explore my instrument. I wasn't that kind of player. I was like, this is close enough. I can skate through the gig with this. And that didn't make me go buy the amp that would allow me to skate. I had that attitude. I'll get by. I'll get through this. I'll get on the other side of this and I'll be fine. I had that attitude, but I didn't go buy the gear that enabled that attitude. I stuck with that. I'm going to crack this nut because there are things that I like about what it does. And one of the things that I can really hear that I'm making a mistake. And if I spend a little bit of time, I can solve that problem. I can play a little better. I don't have to be a virtuoso. I just need to not embarrass myself in front of people.
Sure.
And then when I do that and it sounds good, it was really enlightening to me that so many players came up to me, even if I hacked a gig, even if I was sloppy, even if I didn't think I performed very well.
Sure.
People, good players would come up to me and go, Jesse Ed Davis came up to me and sat right in front of me at a small little club in LA 30 years ago with this big shit-eating grin on his face. and I ran into him outside the club on the street in front of the place afterwards. And he was like, man, that was really great. All the little interesting parts you're playing, I could hear every note. That was great.
Oh, wow.
And
that's great.
And somebody halfway down the block went, hey, Jesse, we got to go. And I went, are you Jesse Ed Davis? And he goes, yeah, man. And what's your name?
Yeah.
I was dumbfounded.
Right.
And he said, you play really interesting stuff.
Right.
And I said, because of you. He goes, huh? And I said, you may not recognize me now, but when I was 15 years old, I was sitting at your feet at the Eagles Auditorium in Seattle.
Wow.
In 1968. You were playing with Taj Mahal, and I was sitting in front of your Leslie. You were playing a Paisley Floral Telecaster with Pink one, and you were in heaven, and because of that, I was in heaven. I bought all your records, and I thought, I love the way this guy phrases melodies. And he's so understated, and I strove to be that. So if you liked what you heard, you were just hearing yourself.
Right.
And he was, wow.
Wow.
So I was really glad that I got to say that to him. But that was really
that's a powerful moment.
That was a moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things for sure. Wow, Steve, thanks for talking to us and showing us the room here, man. It's amazing stuff.
Well, we have one more little thing we have a little ritual that you have to partake in.
Uh-oh. I don't have to wear a wig, do I?
Nope. So this is our production area.
Oh.
And in our production area, we have control of the burn-in voltage for all the gear that we make. So when we build it, we put it up on these burn racks.
Okay.
And the voltages on the burn racks are all controlled by this.
Oh, wow. The world's biggest variac.
Not only the world's biggest variac, but it's a new in-box. We just got this 6 months ago, about a year ago. Our dealer in Washington, Chuck Levins.
Okay, right.
The manager, his father was an electrician.
Okay.
And he was cleaning out his father's garage and found this. It was brand new in box.
No.
Never used.
Wow.
1966, 240 volt.
Wow.
15 amp variac.
You sure we're getting this?
So what you have to do is you have to go stand next to it and grab the knob and you can turn that. It's powering stuff right now.
Okay.
But you can turn it.
How far can I go?
About one notch either direction. Now down.
Wow.
And then back to 120.
Hey. Thank you.
Does that feel wonderful?
It's wonderful, man. With my eyes these days, I need all my amps to be like this.
That's right. That's right.
For sure.
So
yeah,
he sent me that, and I opened it up, and I'm scratch on this brand new. So we had just been moving in, so we had the place wired up so that we could run it anywhere from 100 volts to 240 volts for testing all the different voltage units that we do. And we can leave it running all day long.
That's amazing.
And it's got the kill switch on the top. So you can grab that red knob and yell, it's alive, as you're pulling the switch down. Wow.
That's great. Perfecto, did you see that?
Yeah, well, if you're a guitar player,
you better grab the variac and I'll get Perfecto in here.
right.
No.
Scary.
Yeah. It's a nice
The electricians that installed it, right? When they got it all ready to go, they said, we don't think that this is right. And I checked the schematic and I checked the wiring that they did and all that. And they go, it's right. Go ahead and turn it on. And they were like, no, we're not going to do that. And I went, all right. So I was the first one to turn.
You were the
And when I turned it on, that switch up there is a kill switch, and that feeds this transformer that converts 208 volts to 204. Wow. So when you first turn the thing on, the first time in the day, there's a little charge current that charges both that the converting transformer and the variac. There's a little charge current that happens, a little spike, and it'll make a little spark jump on the switch form the first time.
Wow.
And so when I turned it on, a little spark shot off, and they were, see? And I went, it's okay.
It's okay. I think Frankenstein was made, you know?
So I turned it on, and I hooked up a piece of gear to it, and I started turning it up. But when I first connected it, the lights were on, and as I turned it up, the lights got dimmer, and then they all went off. And I went, you wired it backwards. And they went, no, we wired it just like you said. And there's the sheet, the documentation sheet, had 4 different configurations of wiring depending on voltage and depending on how you mount it on the wall.
Right.
And in one iteration, you would mount it. It has a different case in that iteration. And it says so in the notes, but you have to read the notes to find out that there's another version of this that is designed to have the variac part out here, but the control side through the wall into like a lab on the other side where you would control the voltage just right in there. So that would put the knob on the opposite of the unit. And they wired it that way. So when I said you wired it backwards, they went, no. They printed the label back in. And I said, you're going to tell me in 1966, this famous company that made this precision piece of equipment somehow printed an aluminum painted panel backwards and didn't notice. And so we pulled the cover off, wired it back the other way, put it back together, and they did this. Professional electrician backed away from it and said, yeah, well, I don't have an insurance release for you to sign, so I can't touch it. It's just like at NAM, you know?
Yeah.
So I went, okay, no problem. So I fired it back up, turned it up to the right voltage. Everything was right again. And not only did I have a lot of fun doing that, but I embarrassed some electricians.
That's great.
That was awesome.
That's fantastic, man.
So it's not exactly 100% all configured yet. We're using these strips, you know, to
working it out. Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun having that here. And every guitar player that comes in here and
gets the turn
and does the knob, walks away.
Love it.
God, that's
great. Included. Yeah. I mean, I love knobs. Guitar players love knobs, you know?
Yeah. Well, you can, if you actually really want to see how it feels, try it now. You could turn it the whole swing.
I don't know. We can go to 11.
Yeah. You can really feel how this is.
I know. What?
Literally never used it before.
I mean, we've got some,
It's got a nice little flywheel back there behind.
Yeah. You know, feel that? Yeah, you got to try that.
Wow. Now imagine an amp that had 6 of those on it. Wow, it'd be awesome.
Yeah. 6. Yes. Yes. Well, anyway, name it to Big Joe. And programmable. And programmable. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. With moving knobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear it during the show. Yeah.
Snapshots.
Yeah, and snapshots. Yeah. Lord.
So what we have back here is, this is the final QC area.
Okay.
And so we have these laptops set up at the workstations. That one,
sure.
All the product schematics and board layouts and all that are in there. So when we're working on stuff, we can just pull it up right here and see if we're doing any repair or any modification or anything, we'll just pull up all the data that we need right here.
Fantastic. Wow, this is very clean. You know, that's
We're pretty OCD about all of that. So this is the production area.
okay. Where the magic is done. Yeah.
So we have a 3-tiered production process.
Okay.
Some things we buy assemblies already done by an outside contractor, like circuit boards, through hole parts already up to that, and then we bring transformers in, front panels, chassis. Some things we have partially assembled outside and we complete them here. Some things we build from scratch all the way from the bottom of the cob. Just depends on the product, the complexity, the quantity, how many we have to make at a time. So we can do it. We can do anything from really complex, simple, one at a time. Each assembly takes 2 weeks, kind of point-to-point assembly. We only have one model like that right now, the Ether Amp, right? That's like that. And then we have the power stations, which we do in high volume, and those are a couple of assemblies that come here, and then we do the final assembly, check everything, put the tubes in, cook them.
Gotcha.
Test and QC, and then tack and ship.
Gotcha.
And then the stereo power amps, those are kind of in between.
Gotcha.
And big heads and cabinets, those are a step or two removed from the point-to-point wiring or stuff, but they're circuit boards, so they grow together fast. They are more time intensive because there's the initial wiring stuff, right? Mounting the transformers, wiring all that stuff up.
And are you still wiring yourself or at all?
No, I hardly ever did any of the wiring.
Gotcha.
I did all the design work, figured out how everything was supposed to be laid out, and surely map all that,
Right.
and then teach people how to do it.
No, that's sufficient. So yeah, fantastic.
I'm a nerd that I love looking at stuff on computers, and I love doing circuit designs. I love doing board layouts. I love conceiving products. I'm really nerdy about that. I mean, I can get lost doing that for weeks.
Right.
The hand part of assembling a thing, yeah, I get bored with that really.
Oh yeah,
because
I'll be honest.
I kind of already done that.
Right. In your mind.
Yeah. So I have to move on, or else I'll run nuts.
Right. Definitely understand that.
All right.
Well, Steve, like I said, thank you so much.
Thank you.